No, keep talking. Yes. Inflation, parts.
True. Yeah. So Dina, my fiance, works at a company called Stellantis.
Yeah.
She's in corporate finance, and so she oversees like a whole team, and so she's running and seeing all these numbers and everything. And she'll just tell me, she's like, yeah, because this chip manufacturer is slow, this cost is now increased by X amount, and this is now we're moving this money from Italy, and this, because Stellantis is publicly traded, but they own like Piguet,
they own everything,
Alfa Romeo, GMC, Chevy, all of these.
Yeah, Fiat.
Fiat.
They're making the Dodge Chargers now.
Yeah. Look at you.
They're the second biggest company in the world after Volkswagen.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
You did or you did not?
Did not.
Okay.
Stellantis? It's just because they bought up a bunch of American companies recently.
Just bought a ton.
They're just buying everybody.
Yeah, they're based
just like
out of
Volkswagen
Netherlands.
does. Volkswagen finds a company, like that's how they bought Porsche, that's how they bought Lambo. They just find the companies that are like down and like.
Then you get them. You get them at like a good dollar, good value.
Pennies on the dollar.
Because for them, like their stock right now is a bit lower, but they're investing so much in like the future technology of trying to find high performance in like what do they call them? Electric vehicles.
Oh, sure.
So
like
at
the new.
some point,
yeah.
They're going to be like this.
Yeah, like they got the new charger replacement that's electric.
Yeah.
And as soon as they get that figured out, they could throw that in all the Alphas. They can throw that. Yeah. Well, in anything. It's all that they can put in whatever they want.
It's pretty wild.
That'd be a fun company to work for.
Yeah.
Damn.
Does she enjoy her work, or is it like high stress?
It's high stress for sure. She enjoys it because she went and got like 2 masters in finance and business. But she really does enjoy it. But she's like, yeah, babe, I wouldn't mind not working anymore and just like coming up with really good ideas, and then like just having you tell people what to do, and then I'll just like tell you good ideas. Like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. Everybody got good ideas, but nobody wants to do the work.
That is funny.
So,
well,
this is a nice little setup, man.
Yeah, man.
Did we start?
No, we're gonna start. We're gonna start the proper way, huh?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, how you guys doing? Doing all right?
Doing great.
Yeah,
Great. Well, listen. Welcome back to another episode of the Two Truth Podcast, man. Listen, I've got a guest that I wasn't expecting this evening. This man is on a Delta flight more times than not on a pretty regular basis. So to get him in Seattle on an impromptu guest here on the Two Truth Podcast, man, I want to welcome a friend, an advisor, a mentor, brother of mine. I've known this man for 20 plus years. I've been inspired by this individual. Our families know each other. We've experienced happy moments like weddings. We've experienced funerals together. We've experienced, families grow with kids and people get engaged and married, man. And I'm looking forward to the next 20 years with this brother, man. Without further ado, man, I want to welcome my friend, my brother, Wael Abou-Zaki.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Come on, man. Clap it up, man. Clap it up, man. Bree, clap it up. Quit being a hater. Over there eating that, what is that? What's that spot across the street over there? What's that called?
Beep.
Huh?
Fish.
What is it? They don't even mess with us. And she went over there and went and spent her hard-earned black dollar at that restaurant.
Hey, they made that black beer they gave us.
They gave it to you. They don't fuck with me.
They gave it to you too.
They think I'm a grouch.
They gave it to you. You said you was giving it to your dad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Brianna's over there just stuffing her face. Can we turn the camera around?
I need my glasses.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, thanks for being a part, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I was here pre-podcast preparation, pre-athletic form, pre a lot of things.
That is funny.
To see it grow. It's a blessing to see it, the trials and tribulations of business continue. We share in a lot of these conversations we did just earlier before we started. But that's part of the engine that makes us go. So it's a blessing to be here, to see Phil, a road dog who's always been in there, and I'm just grateful to be here.
You just said something that just resonated with me. I remember when we bought all of this podcast equipment, Phil. You remember that, right? The first $3,000 worth of podcast equipment.
Do you mean this equipment or do you mean round one?
Round one.
Yeah.
And I was super excited to tell Elle because I was like, I didn't want to ask him for help. I said to him everything we got. And in true Elle fashion, he's like, this shit is not gonna cut it back. He's like, this shit is not gonna cut it, and this is why these mics won't work. This is why this won't work. This is why these cameras won't work.
Yep.
And I was like, God damn it.
Table mic stands. These are good. I like that.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Kyle. Shout out to Kyle.
Crazy.
But yeah, man. How are you, man? What's been new, man? I mean, the last time we saw each other was what? Like, I just got back from the last time I was supposed to see you. Mm-hmm. Jay and I had just gotten back from Singapore.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we ended up not seeing each other.
Yeah, it was like quick. And then before that was
the holidays?
Might have been the holidays.
That is insane.
Because it wasn't the birthday in Miami. We saw each other after that.
Yeah, we did. We did. We won't tell anybody what happened in Miami, though.
Yeah, but
let's not tell anybody.
We're not supposed to say that?
No.
We're gonna cut that out.
But yeah, no, it's been, honestly, time flies. We're gonna talk about that today. The idea of like just trying to summarize a whole sequence of people's lives in just like a couple of words, like society really wants to do that, and it's in weird ways. But anyways, time has moved very quickly, but I'm doing really well. Business is a big part of who I am these days, and creating and managing and empowering and trying to share and communicate with people is a big part of how I am just like inspired to kind of like be on this journey.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I feel like a lot of the times I feel like I'm trying to work towards something I think and then I realize I'm like, I don't really know why I'm going this way, but I'm just going to keep going. And that has been a big part of just like my growth, my journey.
Well, yeah, man, I'm glad you made mention of that. And I'll just go ahead and dive into it. For those that don't know, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so a lot of people call me Elle. My name is Wael Abou-Zaki. I'm from Lebanon, born there, immigrated to this country, and I am a creator. I'm a storyteller. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm just constantly trying to find something that inspires me to want to keep creating. And I've done that in a lot of different ways, in music, in radio, in filmmaking, in production, in mentorship, in art, in a lot of different forms. Currently, for quite some time, I started a company called Zaki Rose. It's a full-service creative agency and media production company. And we started in Seattle in 2011. It started just as a production company. And prior to that, the reason why we ended up getting there was because I was in radio. I went to the Art Institute of Seattle, and I got a degree in audio engineering, thinking I was going to be a music producer. And they quickly told me, no, that's not what we do here. You're going to be an audio engineer. I was like, well, what is that? And so that was an awesome experience just to kind of like understand the logistics and the technicality of sound and how you make sound and what we hear and listen to on a day-to-day basis. And then I got into radio because I got an internship at a record label in Seattle, and it kind of like moved me into, I met a guy who ran community affairs programming who changed my life, one of the first people that changed my life, at Festival Sundiata. If you remember Festival Sundiata.
I do,
the Seattle
yeah.
Center. That was 2004, I think. 2003 or 2004. And I got into radio. I started becoming an intern at Cube 93, for people who are not prone to or know anything about Seattle.
Or the radio.
Yeah, or radio. That was like one of the biggest hip hop stations in the country, actually, which was co-signed by quite a lot of people from the worlds of the High 97 to Power 106, and you name it. A lot of respect for that station.
I didn't know that.
It's a legendary radio station around the country at the time. And now it's a sports radio station, I guess.
They came back.
Yeah.
They did like a zombie run for
it
like
happened.
18 months, and I was like, they're back.
A lot of good people there. It's just sometimes the business of it all changed. But it was Clear Channel at the time, and I got into community affairs programming and learned how to run boards and just be in the studio at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning and be there for a lot of people and met some really amazing human beings who became mentors of mine. And I'm kind of going a little long, but I figured this context really helps.
Sure.
But I got into, took like the next phase of my life into being a production director, imaging director, creative director, whatever it's called these days, for Cube. And that would only happen because I forced my way in. And Eric Paris, who's a mentor of mine, kind of put me on, and Karen Wild, who's a mentor, kind of gave me access. And I think access is a big part of finding yourself. Access is really finding access, or people who give you access help you discover who you are a bit, or at least give you the space to discover
Sure.
who you are. And I did that a lot at the radio stations, and so started helping stage manage, and then stage manage music festivals, and then run video production, live IMAX, to like summer jams.
There we go. I was like,
You
when you
know?
say festivals,
Yeah.
did you produce Summer Jam?
Yeah, I didn't produce Summer Jam. Summer Jam
He
is
produced
a
Summer
lot
Jam.
of people involved.
Yeah. No,
Any
I know.
show, right?
Yeah.
Your music directors are engaged with like managers, and program directors are involved, and the production companies of the shows, and all of that is involved. But I was very involved in all the content that was playing on screens. We would pre-produce all of them. I would now be on the stage after a while, I ended up like moving up to being on the stage with Eric, and running all the live content teams. This is like pre-DSLRs, which is like what we're shooting on this. It was some tape, and then it was DSLRs. And we had like this just crazy run of just like figuring it out, shooting concerts with Kendrick when he was opening a show, and Big Sean and Trey Songz and Rick Ross and Drake and Lil Wayne. And
We don't say Trey Songz here. He's canceled.
Oh,
He's canceled, right?
I don't know.
I think he's canceled.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
I think he's canceled.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then Ed Sheeran's of the world, he's not canceled, I'm sure. I don't know. And like pop stars.
Maybe in 10 years.
So yeah, we did quite a bit. So all of that I learned production in these live spaces and like high pressure situations, getting cursed out by Lil Wayne, and a lot of other things that happen in these shows. And I learned that I can just direct and just be in really high pressure situations.
Yeah.
And every single phase of my life has been to just kind of like, well, I can do this, and just go and do it. So I did a lot of that.
Yeah. Right on, man. You did a
going
lot
on?
of that.
I'm just thinking about Cursed Out by Lil Wayne.
What is that like?
Yeah.
Is that like bars?
We can send you the video so you can actually like do the cut.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can get like a quick freestyle about Summer Jam and whatnot?
Freestyle?
You're just
No, I don't freestyle.
You know, freestyle.
It was me and Wayne. Basically, long story short, the program director and the music director was like, hey, it would be great to have Wayne freestyle about Summer Jam. And this was like, we booked Wayne pre-Lollipop. Lollipop blows up. He's the biggest artist in the world. He's like 2 hours late to the show. He sits in his, bus for a while. He pulls up. He does his show. At the end of these shows, this is like pre-I Am Music tour for a lot of those who are Wayne lovers. But he ends the show and he puts like a bathrobe on, and they're playing the Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. And that's how he ended all of his shows for quite some time. I don't know if he does that anymore. And then he walks off the stage, and then he goes in this little room, and it's me. My brother was shooting video. just coming out of Art Institute of Seattle. And Eric, the music director's there, the program director's there, and that's the artist manager and Wayne's people. And he gets to the thing, they're looking at me, they're like, "Are you going to ask? Are you going to ask?" I'm like, "Nobody wants to ask." "All right, yeah, I'll do it." And so I did. I was like, "Hey, Wayne, it's the perfect time where you cut the video in. Hey, Wayne, can we get a freestyle about Summer Jam?" He looked at me, he's like, "Free? Freestyle? You want me to do this for free?" And his people were like, "Man, fuck that." And then they just like walked out of the room, and I looked at my program director, my boss at the time. I was like, didn't want to do it. So, yeah, that's the story about Lil Wayne.
Well,
there's lots to talk about today.
Sure. You've had some pretty close encounters with a lot of artists.
A lot of artists, yeah.
You got some stories. We put that on our paywall account.
Yeah.
We put that on. What is that? What is
Subscribe
that
to Patreon?
Patreon.
Yeah, I'll get 25% off of that one, though,
Since I've known this dude, he's always wanted some sort of equity split on anything and everything. Man.
If you ain't doing business, you ain't doing business.
Okay. No doubt, man. Well, yeah, man. So I guess tell us a little bit about the creative agency, Zaki Rose, and kind of.
Are you still with Zaki Rose?
Yeah, I started it. Yep.
Yeah, no, but so how does
Yeah,
Zaki
we
Rose?
still have it.
You got to bring us from. So Summer Jam, Lil Wayne. What is that? 2012.
That was before that.
Okay,
So that
so-
was like 2008.
So how do we get to
2009?
2024? Because
Yeah.
we don't skip we're
Many
missing
years.
like
There's a lot
11
of
years.
stuff. There's a
So
lot of
bring us to
stuff.
today.
I appreciate the question. So I was fascinated by production, I was fascinated like on video and storytelling, and I've always been inspired by like movies. I'd like always just drive in a car and just look out and just see stuff. And so I figured if I can do this, and I can direct like 14 people, and we have like a production jib, 14-foot jib that's like overseeing this stuff and doing this and this and that. I can do this for like TV commercials for companies. And so, we started doing it for a lot of companies, like this was like pre-algorithms on all social. So like just straight, a company would contract you, and then they just put the video up on YouTube, and they would have no real digital spend, behind it. They just have it up. And so we started Zaki Rose, myself and my business partner, Ricardo Frazier, who managed Sir Mix-a-Lot and taught me. He's a mentor, he's a brother. He's taught me almost everything I need to understand about emotional intelligence and identity and business, and just how to deal with people and manage human beings. And so I started with him, and then my younger brother, Samer, he was heavily involved as well. And we just started doing commercials for companies, and I was like, okay, that's a great start. Now, let's do a film. Like, I feel like I can do a documentary. And I met this guy named Simon in Seattle, Simon Okello, and I went to Kenya, and I did a documentary on empowering communities through sustainability and entrepreneurship through the arts. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. And we worked with some amazing artists like Sauti Sol and Blitz the Ambassador, who, he recently directed a remake of The Color Purple. Steven Spielberg and Oprah were producing it. And just some amazing artists throughout the diaspora, and just really found my love for like, okay, I want to tell international stories. I want to tell my stories. And while I was doing that, I was also managing a producer, and this is kind of like part of this kind of like evolution of Zaki Rose. Like, it was radio and music, and then it was production. It was video production primarily. And then it was like, all right, music is a big part of who I am. It's my DNA. And I understand managing because of my business partner, Ricardo. So I started managing this guy named Exclusive, and we did All the Way Up, the Fat Joe, French Montana, Remy Ma record. We had a bunch of remixes. The song blew up. We went to the BET Awards and Grammys. And then we did Holy Key with Big Sean and Kendrick and, some Khaled. And who else? Sahai. We did a lot of Sahai's project, and Kanye was on there. We work with a lot. Just we're at a lot of rooms and negotiated deals with BMG and Sony and UMG, all these big groups. And I was just learning I can do anything as long as I'm willing to commit myself fully and just being who I am. So everything I did, just like, I think I felt like I left who I was in all of my work. And that was a really big part of just clearly understanding why I want to do what I want to do and how I want to do it. And it was a big part of kind of like the blueprint of how I communicate with people. Like, if I'm going to do this music, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do the video, I'm going to do it. And I feel like I can do a lot. One of my mentors taught me a while ago the sand bucket analogy. A lot of people have different amounts of sand that they can put in their bucket. I just had a propensity to do a lot of sand, and I still am putting way too much sand in my bucket. Nothing's come over yet, but yeah, so then that evolved into, I stopped managing with Ed. We kind of like parted ways, and then I got into working a lot with celebrity athletes, built a really good relationship with quite a bit of guys in Seattle, Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner, did a bunch of stuff with Tyler Lockett and Doug and Jordan Babineau and, KJ Wright, all of these guys in Seattle. They were awesome. And then I met some folks that were representing Floyd Mayweather or working with Floyd and Michael Vick and Chad Johnson and all these others. And so I started doing a ton of original content with them. And so I found this path of, I was directing a lot of talent who really wanted me to direct these commercial campaigns, original content, but I also had a lot of brands who wanted me to be a part of it, either because of my relationships or just the way I was conducting business. Because there's not a lot of agencies that are culturally driven like myself, that have myself, I'm from Lebanon. Ricardo's, he's born in Costa Rica, he's black, he grew up in New York, and we represent a lot of people who aren't necessarily running agencies, and that was very true in Seattle at the time, and still is. But I don't think it gave us an opportunity to make more business. It was another part of the conversation that we were engaged with others who were interested in working with us. And so in a really quick time of having ZR, I was directing like 70-person productions. We shut down Safeco Field. We shut down part of the airport. We were working with Fortune 50 companies all the way down to early stage startups. We got into DFS, daily fantasy sports and fantasy sports business, casino, iGaming, working with Caesars and all of these companies around the world. And it kind of just happened because it was like, oh yeah, we're just doing this stuff and this industry and this vertical. And we just started getting a little bit more experts in this vertical and this vertical. And so now we're, all of those years from Lil Wayne and all this music to radio to production to music again to really kind of like, understanding like we can carry the process of a campaign all the way through. So the current state of who we are, because I want to give that context just for the sake of like the journey. But the current state of who we are is truly a full-service creative agency and media production company. So we support brands and global marketing campaigns, and that's from strategy to understanding their upper, middle, lower funnels and like what they're looking to do, and is it retention strategy, is it new, product, is it product awareness, and you just trying to get new business, whatever it may be. We have the team that supports that, everything from web design and UI, UX, and original content, and then I'm a filmmaker as well. I signed to WME. I also signed an innovative artist, represented by a couple agents there, and creating stories, working on unscripted and scripted content. Yeah, that's who I am, and that's what I'm doing right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it.
You said the first thing you did in video was a commercial?
Yeah.
What was the commercial?
It was
hella corny though, but I ain't gonna lie. I was proud of him, but it was corny.
Do you remember the commercial?
Wasn't it was it the Alaska Airlines?
Nah,
or was that the Safeco?
it was that company NCR.
NCR.
We did the thing with NCR at Safeco. You have the right idea.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember this. So we actually did a free commercial. Ricardo, my business partner, knew somebody in the space, and we did this like free commercial to like pitch our services because we were urban. All we had on our site and our work was like Rick Ross and Drake and all of these like hip hop artists, And like, why do they want to work and do like? Why does the National Cash, the National Cash Registry? They're the company that's like power the back end of like your ATMs and so much transactional business globally. Why would they want to work with us? And so we created this like free campaign. It was like this TV spot, and they were like, that's good. And I didn't even direct it. I remember my brother was there with this other guy that we hired to direct, and I was like, yeah, it's not bad, and they liked it. And so we ended up going to Atlanta to do this like big shoot at the Georgia Dome. They flew us out there. We got the gig, and we did it, and they liked it. And then they wanted us to do a short film out here, and that's where kind of like my like real foot into like, okay, sure, I'll do this. And I learned quickly, like, obviously I'm able to manage a lot of people and like I can empower and guide and direct, but I also learned a lot about business. Like, don't pay people the day of the shoot. Like, cash flow is a real thing. You need to understand
that net 60, like net 90 is no joke.
It was cool, but that was the first commercial like we actually like did. And then at that point, it was like just trying to find our way, like try to find business and secure business. While I was at the radio, we were doing a bunch of like BTS videos with artists that were just like in the space, whether it's 2 Chainz or Big Sean or like these pop artists. Because at the time, like popular pop music at the time was like 303 and All American Rejects and like those artists. Yeah, so we were doing all this like. We're all doing this rock band pop stuff, and we were like, just making all this like random videos. And I was like pitching all of them like, hey, videos are a thing. Like, we should really push this in the radio business. And they weren't really buying that for a while.
You were ahead of your time.
I was doing my best, man.
Because there's a behind the scenes video on everybody now.
Yeah.
The people who were smart.
Man, we had.
Well, he's got a lot. He's got a lot probably on a hard drive somewhere with a bunch of behind the scenes shit.
We have terabytes on terabytes on terabytes.
You're just sitting on it like The Last Dance?
I don't think it's gonna be as compelling as The Last Dance, but we have a lot of content. A lot of it's at the time it's like you're just shooting stuff, and we were just like so pumped to have a Canon 5D Mark III, and we were like, my brother was like super technical. He's like, oh my god, the sensor in this is like sick, and I'm like, yes. I just got to figure out what we're going to shoot. You know what I mean? Like, how are we going to get access to create something that matters, So that was kind of like the biggest part of being an entrepreneur in the space. Like, okay, you're going to direct, but what are you going to direct and how are you going to make money? And so that was like a big thing growing up. Like, how are you going to make money in entertainment and music and video? Like, what are you talking about? You're not a doctor. You're not an engineer. Like, what are you going to do in your life? And so it was a big part of that's like proving it wrong too. Like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, of course. There's money there, I think, right? There should be. Everybody else is making it. Why can't we?
You know what's funny though, man, is I feel like if the super kick would have came 2 decades later,
I was thinking about
if the super kick came out 2 decades later, like 2018,
He's like, what is the super kick?
Shawn Michaels, Sweet Chin Music.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason why he's bringing it up is because we did this stunt called the Super Kick of the Day. And
like Donkey of the Day?
Not really. Okay. But it was just like we weren't like creating content on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But it was basically my brother getting kicked by me in the face.
Or celebrities.
And then we integrated a celebrity later, like Pitbull.
What year was this?
This was 2000 and... You're going to have to pull it up on YouTube. We'll cut to the YouTube here, but probably 2006.
All right, so basically we're going to set up the shot. You're going to be going on the stage. You're going to try to get in the center.
Yeah, I can really give a fuck about what we're going to do. I mean, how we got to do it, just do it.
That's fine. Okay. I'm just trying to let you know. I'm going to be getting behind you. You're going to be coming up to the mic. Most likely the fans are going to be standing up at that point. And then after that, that's when, you'll be done with your shot.
Okay, sounds good.
Is that all good?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
When the fuck you get on the stage? I
got a penny in this. This is King of the Day, baby.
I'm gonna tell you what time it is. You know what time it is? Whatever fucking time I tell you it is.
was like, damn, that works on E-bombs. That works on.
Yeah, but we didn't know. Like, we didn't know. And Samurai was just posting it on his, account, on his YouTube account. That's where you're going to see it.
Right.
But yeah, we did like a bunch of super kicks. Wrestling is, if you want to ask, where is my...
We don't talk wrestling here because that's also been canceled.
No. Wrestling is not canceled. I don't give a shit who is listening, watching. That's some bullshit.
Then you would appreciate. I bowl for Sweet Pin Music.
Sweet Pin Music?
That's our bowling team.
Oh, okay. I get it now. For a second, I was like, wait, what? Yeah, I
what I
definitely
bowl
appreciate.
for.
Well, Shawn Michaels is the greatest wrestler of all time.
That's what
And
Rashad
I would just
keeps
say,
saying.
I'll just say creativity, my creativity was primarily built, now looking back at it, and watching wrestling. Like, wrestling to me wasn't about the physicality. It was the theater of it.
Yeah.
It was the storytelling. It was how you engage with the crowd, the music, the production. And when you go to the shows, it's the most fascinating production you're going to get because it molds everything together. And you're seeing it these days now because of, and I watch it very, very, very closely. I watch wrestling more now than I did when I was a kid. But also like to understand the business. I'm listening to their board calls, for God's sakes. But what TKO and the WWE is doing now and how they're giving access and they've been the leaders in content creation and social and just in digital and the way they tell their stories and what's been going on now is by far the most like amazing time to be a wrestling fan. Yeah, I love it.
Did WCW really drop the ball?
Of course.
So they had the runway to surpass
They did,
WWE.
for sure. Yeah, I don't know if you saw.
I did.
You did see the
I
thing
did.
on Vice?
I did.
Yeah. No, WCW was great, but the problem was you can't. The importance of the business. It's not like I'm part of the WWE, but my fiance did ask if I would ever not run my company. What company would you ever be able to like go to? I was like, yeah, it'd probably be the WWE. It'd be the only company that I would ever like not do what I'm doing. But I would kind of try to do it there, Not to be a wrestler, but to be part of creative and production.
Yeah.
But I could go. No, I'm joking. No, it's fascinating. And so WCW, the reason why I don't think there's plenty of stories and people who are actual experts that speak on it, but you have to mold production, business, sponsor, creative. It needs to be consistent on a weekly basis. You're talking every single week doing 3-4 shows live in production. It's an unbelievable feat.
Yeah.
So they just weren't doing it enough.
They weren't doing it at the highest level to carry storylines that keep people while delivering and understanding like what society and kind of like what's happening now. You have to have all the right pieces and storylines. It's the people, like the production and creative, all that's important. But if you don't have the people that can carry it, that's the reason why it's going to falter. And they gave too much.
I felt like WCW gave too much away.
Well, yeah, they gave too much. They gave too much power to some of their
sure,
people,
but I also felt like they had too many shows happening on a week-to-week basis.
Who are some popular WCW people? I don't know anything about wrestling.
Well, there were
Hulk Hogan, baby.
Well, Hulk was obviously like the guy, right? But Sting is like
that.
king of WCW, like
NWO, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall.
But that's the thing. Scott Hall was Razor Ramon before he was Scott Hall, and he was
Diamond
Razor Ramon
Dallas
because of
Page,
DDP
Goldberg.
That's what DDP stands for?
Yeah.
DDP,
Never knew that.
Goldberg, and Sting are like prominent. Like when you think WCW,
Rey Mysterio,
they are the ones. But Ray was also he did a lot of
he was
international.
fly.
He was a lucha.
He was fly. I feel like he propelled that new generation of like what we see in.
Definitely. Now he was the greatest lucha libre ever.
Yeah.
And he supported and created a new style, pulling in from like even he was so brilliant. Like even
Ric Flair,
Japanese Japanese infused wrestling was part of Rey Mysterio. But yeah, Rick and all those guys. Yeah, WCW was amazing.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
He was WWE, but that's the thing. You're like it's ex WWE guys mostly. And then like core WCW guys, and they just couldn't get the business right. And it's behind the scenes. It's Eric Bischoff, it's Vince Russo, it's the Turner Broadcasting Company. But there's a lot of business that was involved in some of the bad decisions.
The league was like a secondary league with old guys from the main league.
Yeah, but they became the main league.
They were the main league
for like a year.
I also feel like Turner I do feel like Turner.
Can't move our wrestling conversation.
I do feel like Turner also made the decision a while back that they were like, we're riding with WWE.
WWE?
Yeah.
No.
WCW?
Well,
Turner?
was it WWE on Turner as well?
No.
It wasn't.
No,
What is
they were-
WWF?
Well, World Wrestling Federation turned into World Wrestling Entertainment.
Same thing. Just change the name.
Yeah. Yeah. Get the F out.
Yeah.
That was the whole marketing campaign.
Okay,
That's
never mind.
filthy.
Yeah.
That was their marketing
That
campaign?
was it was Vince McMahon special. Yeah. It
Wow.
was- He's
Fitz,
canceled. Though.
Are we allowed to say his
No,
name?
he's canceled now.
We can't say his name, right?
I thought he was back.
can't.
I thought he
Well,
like,
have you? Did you see all the text messages?
I have.
That is crazy.
We're having a wrestling conversation. Hopefully, you're still watching, listening.
I'm learning. I don't know anything about wrestling.
You know, yeah,
I can
it's a
name 8
fascinating thing.
wrestlers.
But the reason why we're talking about it is because I think it gave me a lot of learns around storytelling.
Yeah.
And that is what we do on a daily basis. You can sell, I see a Gatorade bottle there. Those people are selling Gatorade. They're selling the Timberwolves. We're selling everything. We sell ourselves. So we're all storytellers. It's the
Yeah.
oldest form of.
Yeah.
Is the way they tell
identity.
stories what's responsible for their people being successful
Yes.
outside?
100%. 100%. Yeah. I think it's all how you package it. And Undertaker's been packaged like 3 times before he became the Undertaker. And people don't even recognize that. Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he was like 2 or 3 versions before he was Stone Cold. And he popped. So it's all the right timing and how you can find the moment where you have the scripting, the production, the look, and the moveset and the music, all of that. And that's the beauty of it. So when I'm working with a client, I'm thinking about, well, I can't just create a video for you. How are we packaging this thing? What are we doing that's going to really separate you and really tell this story in a way that is going to be unique? And I make this joke all the time on calls with clients. And it can be with fanatics. It can be with, some of the, we're doing a campaign for State Farm that's coming out this week. A bunch of them, and I always reference wrestling. I'm telling you, every single thing, it lives inside of the work that a lot of people do.
Wow.
Yeah, just because it's just classic storytelling.
Do you know Jake from State Farm?
I do know Jake from State Farm. He was a great dude. Actually, he was very deep guy, man. We had a very
New Jake. New Jake, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what Jake everyone knows now, right?
But
There was a Jake before him, but he's the real Jake.
But the Jake before was Jake from State Farm. The new Jake
It's Jake
is
from
like,
State Farm.
But he's like part of like he's places.
Yeah.
No, who's more popular though, him or Mayhem?
Oh, I don't know.
Mayhem is not kicking it.
Yeah.
People are not like
Jake is going. Yeah.
Drake is not like
State
Mayhem,
Farm is a
you trying to
machine.
go out tonight?
They're unbelievable.
They
have a
Jake, you'll
pull.
just see courtside. You're like, what the fuck is he doing? Not in his State Farm stuff. You're like, that's Jake from State Farm.
He's actually, he deserves the roses, man. The guy is a really kind and good dude who's just like, and very talented. Like we were doing this campaign, you'll see, but in directing him, it was like, he was so quick to just like roll with an idea and just kind of like, you see him thinking about it and just goes. It was really, really impressive to see him kind of like work in that place. And we had a lot of fun. And he's a really, really good dude. Yeah.
What's it like working with Floyd, man? Be honest.
What's it like working with Floyd?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think the important part of directing is walking into something, removing any assumptions, and letting the person be who they are, identifying it quickly, and empowering them to be that. And Floyd is, outside of being building an empire and being arguably the greatest boxer of all time, one of for sure. His reality is not a reality that I'll ever understand.
Yeah.
And I think the way I approach working with him, I think he respects that. And I'm not trying to like befriend him. We're just there to do this work, and he respects that I'm not trying to do more than that.
Yeah.
And I push him, and we go after each other. There's a lot of times where he's like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, come on. Why don't we try it like this? Why don't we try? And a lot of people will have people on set. It'll be like 20, 30, 40 people just like waiting, nobody talking, and him and I are just like combating one another. And James McNair, who's a really great human being, he's like Floyd's business partner and like manager and like second hand. And I'll be like, James, can I? And he's like, and he'll like help, in a lot of times. But Floyd is dynamic. The dude, you can never guess, and that's part of his allure. You can never guess what he's going to do next and how he's going to approach something. But it's always, he was Pretty Boy and he's Money. But the moment that camera starts, Floyd's on.
Yeah.
And he just knows. He just knows. He just has a good feeling of his space, his body, the people, what they want, but how he wants to do it.
Sure.
What are you doing with, what kind of stuff are you doing with Floyd? Like, I know he knows. I don't know. They don't know.
Yeah, I've directed Floyd a lot for years now. I've worked with him for like more than 4 or 5 years. And it's for everything from like brand campaigns. So clients will need, a variety of deliverables because they want him to promote X product. And so they'll usually request that I direct it. It could be from Floyd's camp or the brand. And that's because I know people who are like represent the brand and they're working on a deal with Floyd. And so they'll fly me out there and I'll work with them wherever we are, whether it's in New York or Vegas or LA. Miami, worked in a lot of different places together. So it could be, it's primarily brand centric stuff, but we've done a lot of original content stuff as well together, whether it just be for storytelling purposes of any kind. But yeah, work with Floyd for quite some time. Yeah, work with Floyd, doing a lot with Mike Vick. Him and I've been working together for quite some time. Great human being, and he's wants to tell his story in a very specific, in a particular way, and so I've been supporting him, directing that right now.
So you're gonna help tell it?
Yeah, directing his documentary.
When am I gonna see it? Oh, sorry.
We're just waiting for some people to. We're in the process of production.
Yeah.
It's kind of like development and production, and so partnered with some companies and kind of like magnify the story and making sure that he's supported in the right way to tell it the way it needs to be told. Some people have told the story, like Stanley Nelson told the 30 for 30. He's an amazing filmmaker, and he told it in a particular way that he envisioned. Others have told it in like the football life that we have seen, but Mike hasn't told it the way, like the raw way that
we got biographies.
He needs to say.
No autobiography.
Yeah, so I've been working with him for a couple of years on telling that story.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's been good.
Now that's up there with Last Dance. It's not Last Dance. I'm not going to do Mike like that, but Mike Vick is like, that's a very interesting story at least 5 layers.
Yeah.
Football, life, punishment, family, culture. Like, there's so many things that go into his.
Yeah, and I'm learning so much about. You learn so much about people, and my approach to filmmaking is the humanity. Like, I don't care. This story is not about football. It's about a human story. And I think that is the more intriguing stuff that I think gets lost in a lot of times or in a lot of ways. And the only reason why that is not because of anyone in particular. Is you just need that time to be able to like get there. Like I can have a very deep conversation with Rebel immediately because of our context, because of where we come from, like our history. And you need time with someone to really like make them feel vulnerable enough to unpack and tell it. And that's a director's real job. They need to make everybody on the set vulnerable to want to do the work, not just because they're professionals who are getting a paycheck, but because they're passionate about the project or about how and why they're doing what they're doing, and especially those in front of a camera. That is the essence of a director's job, and giving space for performance, and just kind of helping guide it. Yeah, and so that's the important part, and that's why these stories do so well. Like Last Dance, it's considered probably the greatest sports documentary ever. And that's because they had space, and each episode was about a talent, and they had, but there was so much content, and obviously you can go into the technicalities of it, but yeah, it's fascinating how they did it. And so that's why sports and true crime are the two like most purchased unscripted projects or stories that are being bought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it because I know y'all remember Monday Night Football. Michael Vick on the Eagles. Drops back.
Yeah, of course.
First play, 80 yards to Deshaun.
course.
That was like a human interest. I get goosebumps talking about it. That was a human interest story because I was like, first of all, I lost fantasy football on that play, but that was exciting. It was exciting to see a guy who had been here and for things that I think are unfair, got pulled all the way down, and to see him just that, I was like, man, that's not a football thing.
Yeah, and it's a challenge. It's a redemption story, but people talk about a redemption story a lot of ways. So how are you going to tell a redemption story in a way that's like very unique and nuanced that others will be able to like resonate with?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what we're working on.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah, amongst
Very
many
exciting.
others. Yeah. No, but I'm excited to share.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, do you have any questions for us, man? Anything you'd like to share? Anything you'd like to promote? Anything you'd like to just talk about?
Man, you had the book question. I think was an important one.
Yeah. What are some books that you think could be of benefit to some of our listeners that are?
Yeah, I'm actually going to show one right now.
Okay, great.
I've tell people about this book a lot. There's this one is actually in a fire. It was in a fire, and I thought it burned.
Like a literal fire.
Yeah, the house burned down on Thanksgiving night a couple years ago, and still has like the little
burn markings.
Yeah, on it. But as you can see, I have quite a bit of notes. But The Heart of the Buddhist Teaching is a very powerful book. Not because I was trying to be a Buddhist. I was in this space of wanting to, just find another level of enlightenment, and not even just another level, just find enlightenment, and discover, spirituality in a very kind of organic way. And I just like found these ways to like meditate and learn how to meditate. And I wasn't doing it by like reading how to do it. It was just like, it just came to me in these moments. And then I finally found this book. And so much of it, I feel like whether you're having challenging in a relationship or someone passed away or your professional life, I think it's like, to some extent, it's almost like a blueprint to like how to live a life that's grateful, mindful, and if you're grateful and mindful and you're at 100, you can give so much more to others. And this book by Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Zen master who literally sat with Dr. Martin Luther King and talked to him about Buddhism and spirituality in general, and they shared with one another. He passed away a couple years ago, but he was incredible, and he wrote this book that I travel everywhere, that I know on a daily basis. So I would say this is a very important book to share.
Oh, man, can you put that up on the camera one more time? There you go. Well, I mean, while we're on the subject, man, I'd like for you to share with our viewers the importance of family for you and what that means to you.
Yeah,
and that might be a separate pod episode because there's so much to. But if you can kind of share a little bit about it and its importance to you and how family is so rooted in everything that you do.
Yeah, when you're Lebanese, family is like a big part of you. Family is important to a lot of people, right?
Sure.
But in my story, in my understanding, it's who we kiss, we hug and we kiss each other every single morning when we see each other. And that's not because we think about it. That's just part of breathing. When we see each other, when we leave, affection is a part of our the way we communicate with one another. And I think that's a big part of why you see family the way you do, how you can share affection in like a really natural way. And for us, it's not like we share more than we probably would with others. You know, I couldn't tell you that, but it's just there are like the laws of life. For us, part of the law of life is you ride out for your family and you build with your family. Excuse me. And you love your family. And I know I'm grateful that a lot of people don't have that. And some people do, but you know, I meet a lot of people who don't have. I was literally just talking to Mike earlier, and I was talking about my dad, because he's a little older. We were talking about it too. My dad's 82. He's on a walker. He's been having some health issues. And Mike reminded me today, because I was telling him about certain like stupid little things that can frustrate you. Any family member deals with it. It could be just repeating something to an older person that they don't put their hearing aid in. You know what I mean? You just have to say it 4 or 5 times. And Mike reminded me, he's like, man, it's a blessing that you have a dad that, that you're there, that's, you can still rock with. You can still have that conversation. And there's little things, though, if you're not capable, if you're not like present and aware, you can miss them. And I push myself to be as present for those moments, to be grateful. But family gives you that foundation. And so when we immigrated to this country, immigrated with my family, and my brothers are, everything, and their wives now are part of who we are. And it's certainly an Arab thing, you know what I mean? I think it's you'll get that in a lot of places. I spoke to actually a couple friends of mine and their parents who are from Europe, and others who are just like from the Midwest. And they said, I've never been more comfortable letting my son go to this person's house, because when you go to this like Syrian home, like you just know that they're now become their family, and I think it's just part of our DNA. You see a lot of that in our culture, but really, really big part of who I am. And so that kind of like rings true into the foundation of the work that I do. Yeah.
Thank you. You've also just recently got engaged. I mean, it's not recent, but it's fairly recent. You just got engaged.
I did.
You did?
Yeah. You have to.
Getting red. Why are you getting red?
I'm not. Yeah. I'm just. I'll tell you. I am absolutely in love with this woman. She is an absolute blessing, and I feel like you already know this too. But I chose to wait specifically for a person that I felt met what I wanted in my culture, my religion, and kind of like who I am and how I was raised. And I would not take any other option for that. And I felt like I needed to stay true to that, because I've been around a lot of amazing human beings who've had amazing, great relationships, and have had really challenging relationships. And I always felt like that person will be a support system that'll help carry through the tough times, but also just rock with. And I couldn't be more happy than I am with this person.
What Elle is telling you guys is he subscribes to the Sierra prayer. Sierra prayed for Russell Wilson. That was a song, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really. Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, you subscribed to that. You prayed for Dina.
Yeah, no, I definitely did.
Yeah.
100%.
You also held on.
I held on.
You ain't got no futures.
No.
I'm just saying, if you're going to use Sierra had a big ass speed bump in there.
I look forward to calling Dina after this.
No female bashing here, man. We're not bashing female.
The comparison. But no, none of that. But
that was future bashing. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Bashing?
I don't know anything about them. I also prescribe to the world of like, I try to be as disconnected from like judging. I'm not saying you're being judging, but I try not to prescribe. Yeah, I try not to give any kind of power to assuming what someone is.
Great. So now I'm the asshole.
I'm
That's
sorry.
What's up.
I'm not trying to make you out to be that. That's just not me. So I couldn't speak on that.
I feel you.
Yeah, but I definitely prayed for her. I pray for you. I pray for my family and my friends, and for people. It's actually part of. It's funny. I actually thought about this today when I saw a question about the book. I said to myself, I'll also share that at the end of every time I read, every time I meditate, I say like a particular bring power to words that I think are really important. And part of those words are I want to continue to live and be grateful for, being mindful for compassion, grace, Bushido, because it's a very like specific way of life that I thought is just super fascinating from the samurai culture, and to serve with humility and to lead with love. And I say that every morning. I say it in a much more, much better way that's in my mind. But now that I say it out loud, it's funny because I rarely ever say it out loud. Like I truly I've probably said it out loud twice or 3 times in my life.
Yeah.
But I've prescribed to that, and I feel like it's really important. That humility and the kind of like leading with love is like a real thing, and I think it's important to pray for those things for others.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Right on.
Yeah.
I think my last question, we can wrap this up, man, is do you have any advice for fellow entrepreneurs that are getting ready to embark on their new journey, or are hesitant, or have been thinking about it and need that extra push?
I think I don't know if it's advice. I feel like when you want to make a decision to embark on this journey to create for yourself, and I don't want to say create revenue and money for it, because unlike a lot of other people that would be on shows, be like, how are you going to make your first $10 million or $1 million? That's not me. You know what I mean? I think when you're making this decision to embark on creating something for yourself, you have to be prepared to study every part of the business and do as much education and research on your industry as possible. And if you aren't capable of taking the time when you have downtime to spend time studying your craft, then you aren't ready to be an entrepreneur yet. And you can try it.
Yeah.
It just, you're going to quickly learn that that's what you have to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 It's good advice.
Yeah.
That's great
How about you
advice.
guys? What made you guys want to do this podcast?
Phil, I'll let you go ahead and take this question first.
You saw Original Athletic Forum.
I did.
You've seen this athletic forum. Mm-hmm. I think there's parts of Original Athletic Forum that are not as accessible with the scale of the community where it is. Like Athletic Forum, when I hopped on, let's say there was 100 people that were part of the gym. 75 of them came Monday, Wednesday, 7 p.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. And so all the people who were part of it were in one space. They got to access Rebel the coach, Rebel pre-class, Rebel post-class, right? There's just all the aspects of Rebel they got to access, which is not humanly possible anymore. There's too many people. There's too many time slots in the day. He's not 29, right? He's got, a family. He's got stuff to do, right? So there's not as much, although him and all his layers of him are like what grew the gym. So it would almost be not authentic for the gym to exist without that being part of it. And the only way to be that part of it without him giving every hour on the hour speeches, just standing in the front of the gym, is to have a podcast where people can access the same parts of Rebel that I think everyone got to access. We also have a community. So bringing people on who are part of the community is nice too, because, there's people in the 6 a.m. that everybody at 6 and 7 knows. That's people at 6 p.m. or noon have never seen before.
Right.
And they've been coming here since before me. They've been coming here since 2014.
Right.
So how do we introduce all the parts of Athletic Forum to people? Well, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think, to Phil's point, there's that. And then there's just like over the almost 2 decades of being in this industry, I've established a lot of really cool relationships, and I now want an opportunity to have a interview style format where I can talk shop and talk about our relationships and our passions, and if people want to get deep, share some of our fears and our happy moments. It's just an opportunity to kind of continue the conversation in a way in which our members don't always get access to, right?
Yeah.
But simultaneously, the great thing about it is as a podcast, we're constantly evolving and growing and building a little more confidence, and doing a little bit more to prepare ourselves for whatever it is we're doing. We've got great pre-production, post-production. We got great cameras, lighting. You know what I mean? Like the set, it's not where we want it to be, but it's better than it
somewhere.
was. Yeah, it's better than what it was yesterday and 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm really excited to take this community on the journey with the Two Truth podcast, because there's a lot of amazing guests that will continue to be on this podcast that advocate for this space and what it means to them and the relationship and some of their stories and whatnot that might help the next person that's on the other end of the lens through whatever they might be going through.
Yeah.
And so that's always been my reason behind the pod.
You said pre this athletic form. He had a space at the Zachy Rose office.
No, but he does. Do you know about this?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Y'all didn't bring it up.
And
So I didn't bring it up.
he didn't know what an athletic form was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can
He
you
was-
timestamp it though? Was it 2013?
It was 2013 because I remember it was right after I decided that I was doing ZR, but I was still at the radio station.
And I just stopped playing football.
And you stopped, yeah. So it was because we had the office in like 2011, at the end of 2011, I think. And yeah, it was that 2013 moment, and you were in the back talking to yourself. We've told this story a few times because it's great. But Rebel was in the back of our office, and people would come and do meetings. The office was big; it was like 3,000
And
square
not just
feet.
regular, just like not random meetings. You guys were taking on some pretty cool meetings.
Yeah, we're taking some, bigger meetings, and there's a number of people. Ricardo and I, we prescribe to this like fun. Your microphone. We prescribe to this like collective office desk. So it was like this big office desk that Ricardo and I would be next to each other, and all of these people would be in these meetings. But Rebel was in the back, and he's just like writing and talking by himself. And people were like, "Is he okay?" Like, yeah, he's putting together his elevator speech, his elevator pitch. Boy, let me tell you, the first time I asked Bell to tell me that elevator pitch, he went on for like 3-4 minutes. I was like, that's not gonna work.
Hey, big buildings, man.
But I'll tell you, it was before that gym. It was Cal Anderson Park. It was at 24-hour fitnesses and all these other gyms. First before Cal Anderson, and he spent all Sundays at the house watching football all day, talking about this stuff, and then we go out and do it. So, yeah, we got content of Bell, 46 takes in, trying to deliver. But it's great stuff, and one day we will share, but we'll get approval first. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't wait
it's
to
a lot.
see.
I say it to say it's family. It's a blessing to be here. I'm super grateful for you, both of you. I know we don't see each other very often, but I am very grateful you continue to do great things, and I'm proud to continue to see your growth here. And when I do get updates from Bell, I haven't talked to Bell in a while too, just being honest, because life is crazy. But I'm really happy to see this all continue to move in the way it does, and whether it stops or it doesn't, it's just part of your journey.
I agree.
And that's the beauty of this, because at the hardest times, later on, you'll learn that it's some of the most important things happen when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
And you're being pushed in ways that change your limits. And that's, to go back to that question about entrepreneurship, I think the most important thing about an entrepreneur is how fast can you change your limits? Because you will have to.
Yeah.
Because life will tell you, and you will change.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice for sure.
Yeah.
Changing is hard, and
Yeah.
I've never thought about speed of change.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do experience. You're like, damn, this took me 2 years. If I could have done this in a month,
Yeah.
I'd be in a much better spot.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm in that world of like, it happens. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, we appreciate you. Thank you for spending today watching this amazing episode with our friend and guest, Wael Abou-Zaki. We love you. We appreciate y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, man, we hope to see you guys soon. Peace.